Hey, the YouTube is Isabella here with another reaction video. Today we got something special. It's the truth about the OpenAI drama by Fireship. It's been in the news. Everyone's heard about it. Want to just see what the whole situation was about. Let's get right into it, shall we?
Someone is lying about OpenAI, either Sam Altman, the board of directors, or both. It is November 22nd, 2023, and you're watching The Code Report. Welcome back to the program. Let's first do a quick recap on what's happened
I agree with the dumpster fire. He's not wrong.
over the last few days.
This week has
on
been
Friday
legendary.
around 3 p.m., Sam Altman joins a Google Meet where he's fired by OpenAI's board of directors, including chief
Allegedly. If I'm not wrong, this is still not really confirmed if they fired him in the meeting or if it was something like a kind of a mail or a message that was sent to him saying he was fired and then they put him to a meeting. God knows. But I don't think it was a Google Meet just to fire him, as what I understand from from the sources and things that you just hear online.
Scientist and co-founder Ilya Sutskever. A few minutes later, an OpenAI statement goes public, explaining how Altman was fired for not being consistently candid in his communications with the board, which implies some sort of lying by omission. OpenAI president Greg Brockman was also demoted to assistant to the CEO. However, he promptly quit rather than be disrespected like this.
Right. This was all over X, former Twitter. But yeah, it was shortly after this, I think a couple of hours, because I'm a couple of hours away from the American time zone. So this is probably overnight in America. But here, it was within a couple of hours, Satya just had him basically on, Satyanadella, the guy from Microsoft, the CEO, had Altman ready to join Microsoft, kind of hinted at it, had an interview and whole thing planned out saying that, he picked Microsoft before, wanted to pick Microsoft again, so was ready to join. And then Brockman was also... They never confirmed he was going to be on board, but the way, Microsoft kind of put it was, if Altman's coming, then you can expect, because they had this whole file that was signed by, I think, 700 out of the 800 employees, that they were like, oh, we're going to leave, and then we're going to join Microsoft. And Microsoft kind of just, accepted them with open arms. They were like, yeah, you can come and join, you get your same benefits, same things, and we give you the resources you need to build. And, and there have been debates going on whether those, those messages and those kind of commitments, the 700 to join, were coerced or forced. So those kind of debates are ongoing. So I'm no input there. But it's interesting that you have this situation happen and then Altman is reinstated as the CEO of, or back on board and back on top of OpenAI. So it's been a clusterfuck for sure.
In addition, Sam Altman sent this cryptic tweet saying, "I love you all," making it obvious that Ilya had betrayed him, giving us a narrative that plays out almost exactly like Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, where the dictator becomes too much of a dick, and then when he sees a good friend among his assassins says, "You too, Brutus." By Saturday, there were all kinds of theories floating around, like OpenAI had discovered artificial general intelligence, or some other highly dangerous digital consciousness, and it was too dangerous to have Altman at the helm, or maybe Altman was getting too friendly with the Saudis, raising money for...
That is true. He did, so I can only speculate here because there were incidents that he was, because he was fired in the weekend of the Las Vegas F1 event, and he was there for the event. But before that, he was planning on going on a trip to the Middle East to raise funds and money to fund OpenAI's mission, and he was there in the Middle East. So yes, but it's interesting because it wasn't, because OpenAI's whole mission has been, to control and be very cautious on the development and the eventual generation of AGI, general intelligence, artificial general intelligence. But it's interesting that, you have, because I think there was another video that explained it, that there is the charity for OpenAI and there is a capped private, firm, which has a capped profit margin of say 100 times the original investment. And sure, some people could say that's a whole advertising thing saying, oh, you could possibly have 100 times greater investment. And some would also speculate to say that it's kind of a way to generate money, which also helps fund the development of, these AI models, because you need supercomputers to build the models. So this is fascinating because it's interesting to be in the position of, how do I run a charity where I can't get money from, investors, but I also have to be, controlling the company in a way, or a charity in a way, that I don't give my power to the investors because my commitment is towards humanity. So it's a very weird way of saying it. So It's interesting because they even say like, don't look at your donation. Like, yeah, don't look at your investment in the company as an investment, but look at it more as a donation, because they don't think that money would have any value in a post AGI or post artificial general intelligence world. So, which is the whole situation is fascinating to me.
For his AI chip side hustles. And another thing making Altman look bad is this letter from former OpenAI employees that contains various allegations of dishonesty that need to be investigated further. However, an internal memo leaked saying that his firing wasn't due to any malfeasance or technological issues. Now, by Sunday, Altman was already back in the building with a guest badge, negotiating his return to OpenAI with Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. These talks ended in a stalemate because Satya wanted to use Microsoft Teams, but the OpenAI board refused to compromise on Google Meet. So Altman and Brockman formed a new AI research team at Microsoft, and will likely be taking many OpenAI employees with them.
Right, and this essentially happened within maybe 24 to 48 hours.
Twitter,
because this was just in the weekend. Because what Microsoft wanted was, I think, by Monday morning, when the markets opened up, they wanted this news public.
People started repeating this cult-like chant, OpenAI is nothing without its people. And a little pro tip here, if you haven't done so already, I'd recommend sending out this tweet yourself, because you'll instantly get multiple DMs with job offers. Over 500 OpenAI employees have threatened to quit, who could easily be absorbed by Microsoft to completely dominate the AI space.
Which is interesting, because people looked at it in the way of, and I remember seeing these, obviously you see the Twitter messages, you see the X messages, that people saw it as, oh my God, this is a win for Satyanadella. Oh my God, this is exactly what he planned. Oh my God, this is a 4D chess move. He just acquired OpenAI by spending $0. Look, what I understood was this was not what what I understand. And I know it's not something, people look at it as seriously, but in one way of looking at it, yes, you are acquiring a lot of technical expertise from a company that you've invested in and you kind of promised not to touch. And you're just getting all that expertise and you're just able to absorb those people in-house. But you run the obvious risk of, being a monopoly. And of course, Microsoft hasn't forgotten the last time it went to court with the US government and lost. So I imagine Satya was a bit more cautious before taking that decision, because he was like, on one hand, yes, it's great. On the other hand, you are going to have an antitrust lawsuit or an investor lawsuit in your ass immediately the moment he does that. Because you would be abandoning the vision that you started with, which was, we're going to have this whole charity that's nonprofit and works for the betterment of humanity. Suddenly you're going to be acquired by a corporation that's for profit. Obviously, you're going to have people coming in for lawsuits. And obviously the situation would go berserk after that. Like, if Microsoft succeeded, if Satya Nadella succeeded, this would be a very different situation.
Now, in what seems to be an incredibly weak move, Ilya Sutskever tweeted that he regrets his actions in participating with the board to fire Altman. Many people have said that he's the brain behind OpenAI and the single most important figure when it comes to the technology itself. And he sent this ominous tweet a few weeks ago that said, if you value human intelligence above all else, you are going to have a bad time.
No. He didn't say if you value human intelligence. He said if you value intelligence above all other human qualities, you're going to have a bad time. Which was subtle, because he didn't. And that's what scared me when you see that tweet.
AI and the single most important figure when it comes to the technology itself. And he sent this ominous tweet a few weeks ago that said, if you value human intelligence above all else, you are going to have a bad time.
Not human intelligence.
Now fast forward to Tuesday, November 21st, Altman officially leaves Microsoft and goes back to OpenAI as CEO.
I did not know that. I thought that even before joining Microsoft, he was already back there. Microsoft never got the deal ratified. But this is news to me. So it was interesting that he joined Microsoft, used that as leverage chip, and went back. I think that was what Satya wanted, is my best guess. Because that would give him two things. One, that give him respect from every major AI firm, or even from the, I imagine, even from regulators, that they're like, okay, they've done everything in their power to help this charity and then put the right person back on top. And two, it also would give him the advantage of saying that we had the opportunity to take over their company in a time of weakness and we didn't. And this kind of helps poke the regulators away from you, from just charging you, oh, but you're trying to acquire this company. Because effectively by doing this, they're also trying to solidify a seat at the board of OpenAI. So it's it's a very fascinating situation of, yes, they didn't purchase the company, nor do they have the technical expertise to acquire from the people they acquired, but they are they're putting their hands, their small little tendrils onto OpenAI slowly, saying, we can control you from the shadows. And that's the more fascinating play here.
As of right now, the situation is still volatile, but it looks like Microsoft is going to come out the big winner.
Right.
Altman himself is also a big winner, who now looks like an irreplaceable CEO with overwhelming support from employees. What's weird though,
until those allegations are gone out of the way. I mean, yes, people with the internet, people do have short memories. You'll forget, and we'll all move on. But it's always interesting because that's always going to be the backdrop until in an investigation or something is done, obviously.
So is someone has to be lying. The board of directors indicated that Altman was lying about something very serious, because there's no way you just fire someone who's as smart, effective, gay, and well-connected as Sam Altman, especially right before Hanukkah.
The game was really, really necessary there.
Most likely it would be some kind of major conflict of interest, like where he's using his position to make bank behind everyone's backs by...
It's a debatable point, because I see where he's coming from. And I think this is also reflected in some of the videos as well. OpenAI's major shareholder for a time was Elon Musk. He even offered to run the company. When he tried, and when they rejected the idea because he said, but I'm, there's a conflict of interest, I have my own AI that I'm trying to build, Musk just left. And that left Altman and the people in charge saying, well, we need money. You need to burn money to build these AI models. So 100%. They kind of sat back and said, well, we need to, monetize this. Which is why I think the recent, the OpenAI event for ChatGPT, they had all these GPTs, and you can have these recurring results. You can buy models. You can do, you do your own thing. You can also have this... they had this thing where they can even say you can copyright certain materials. Like you can, things that you generate from the AI could be captured in a different kind of way, and they gave their own guarantees. It was fascinating because it was the first time that they were openly trying to monetize something. And I think there is some legitimacy to that claim that the board may have seen that and said, but that is so far off from our mission, we can't let you do that. It's a possibility, but it's kind of slim. What's more likely? The board doesn't like making money, or they just don't like the guy in charge. Murphy's Law. So...
forming chip startups with the Saudis. But it seems like if there was a really good reason for
that doesn't
firing,
really...
somebody would have leaked that information out by now to have it all make sense in the first place. Maybe the board is lying and they didn't really have a good reason to fire Altman, aside from the fact that they thought he was becoming too powerful and influential. He was pushing AI commercialization too far, which some people think is a very dangerous thing for humanity. Therefore, the board took action to save humanity by getting rid of people think is a...
It's like the subtle, middle finger, because you see the hand with so many fingers and it's AI generated.
Very dangerous thing for humanity. Therefore, the board took action to save humanity by getting rid of Altman at the first possible opportunity. But this also doesn't make a ton of sense, because they had to have known this backlash was coming, and Altman could just go start his own AI thing at Microsoft without the arbitrary moral limitations imposed by the nonprofit OpenAI. Others have speculated that board member Adam D'Angelo was behind the firing because he's the CEO of Quora, which is
I think, and I hear speculation. It's pure speculation. And I could be horribly wrong here. D'Angelo is one of the only members from the old board who's still there at the new board. He's arguably, running the one company, Quora. He was the CEO of Quora, I think. I'm not sure if he's still acting as the CEO of Quora. Where, it's one of the first websites to be disrupted by AI. And it's interesting to think that it's a feeling. Do you really think he had nothing to do with this, or he knew nothing about it? No. Definitely there's some tension, there's some things there, but obviously without, more information you can't really say. But if I had to speculate, it was a coup, it was a planned event. They wanted to oust Altman out of the door, but for what reason remains a mystery.
Unusable.
That's my best guess.
Yahoo Answers
because
that recently released
it didn't make sense, because what could they have possibly... I mean, yes, there's a reason why people think they may have just, they've developed AGI. It's kind of interesting to see the pace of growth we've had, like exponential growth. But even today, that seems like a far-fetched dream. Maybe in a decade or so, yes. What's more likely is they have this system called Q** or something that helps you determine the end result of AI training. Apparently something they have. And that's much more fascinating, because it could tell you before you even try spending millions or billions of dollars in training an AI what its most likely end result is going to look like. It's very difficult to quantify that, but if you have a kind of tool that does something like that, it's invaluable. And
its own AI product called Poe. Then on ChatGPT Dev Day a few weeks ago, it immediately became obsolete. The problem is that D'Angelo is returning to the board along with Altman as CEO, which means he's probably not the source of the drama. Although he did vote to fire Altman, the board members not returning are the two women, Tasha McCauley and Helen Toner. A big win for the patriarchy. And apparently Toner and Altman weren't playing well together recently. To replace them, we've got Brett Taylor, who was the former chairman of the board at Twitter before Elon took over, and Larry Summers, who was the former secretary of the Treasury, appointed shortly after Bill Clinton did not have sexual relations with that woman. The only other possibility is that everybody is lying. Altman, the board, and Microsoft are all working together on a giant publicity stunt as part of a grand strategy to consolidate power and achieve regulatory capture, where the techno kings get to regulate themselves to carry on the tradition of crony capitalism here in America, to ultimately make it impossible for anyone to compete with OpenAI and Microsoft. This was all planned out in May of 2023 at the Bilderberg meeting, which was attended by people like Altman, Nadella, and elite insiders like Henry Kissinger. They borrowed the story from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar to keep us all entertained, and if you enjoyed it, you're really going to like the next act, where Altman brings us his final alternative to man that brings us back into perpetual balance with nature, just as the Guidestones require. Welcome back.
that is not a bad plan, though. Would it be an amazing plot for a Bond movie? Yes. Is it what likely happened? Maybe no. But I don't think he's wrong. Like, Nadella acts surprised, everyone didn't know what was going on, random firing in 10 minutes. You have probably the best expertise in AI in the field, and you just fired your CEO. There is something going on. They're not telling us, obviously, but it is fascinating to see how, how everyone plays their role. And it does seem that there's more than what meets the eye, clearly. So, it's still a developing situation. They're going to come back. They're restructuring the board as we speak. So who knows what OpenAI is up to. But it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of OpenAI in the next couple of months to a year, and would confirm the most likely reason as to why he was fired. It's not that it won't come out, it's just it will come out at some point. It'll be really interesting to see when it does come out what the real reason was. So, yeah, this is more of a commentary. It's a long-form video essay kind of video. And it's not something, you draft, you have a script or anything. I just saw the video that popped up. It was an interesting topic, and it was something I wanted to talk about for a long time. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and catch you beautiful bastards in the next one. Peace. Take care. Nice.